Hi, everybody. Welcome to those of you I haven't met yet. My name is Paula Messina. I work with AIFS Study Abroad. We are a study abroad company that puts together programs in over 20 different countries across the world. We do all of the setup, the running of the programs, and support for students and faculty while they're there. We've been working with Citrus College since 1989, so we have 30 years of experience sending Citrus students abroad to London and Spain and Costa Rica and some new destinations coming up like Norway, Japan we've been doing now for the past 2 years. So we have a long relationship that's been really successful. I myself was a study abroad student. When I was the third year in college, I was a Spanish major and barely spoke intermediate Spanish, so I went to Spain for a year with AIFS. I'm actually from New York, so my college was in New York. And then I got a job for AIFS working in Spain, so I have a lot of experience in Spain itself. And I was there for a very long time, have been back in California for about 5 years, and my son did the Citrus program to Costa Rica 2 years ago. So I've also been a study abroad mom. So I've kind of full circle in the whole study abroad game. So I have lots of experience in that. Funding is the number one excuse that students tell us why they can't go abroad. And I say it's an excuse because there are a lot of things that you can do to help pay for your study abroad. Now, at my age, no one's going to pay me to go abroad. But at your age, the federal government will allow you to use federal funds, right, financial aid funds to go abroad. So they'll help fund your study abroad. So we're going to give you tricks and some hacks and some things that you should do to be able to help reduce your out-of-pocket for study abroad. But like anything worth doing, it's going to take effort, right? It's going to take work. So if you're all in, then let's go and we'll figure out how we can help you pay for study abroad. First of all, why is it worth it, right? All of this expense, all of this time, all of this effort, why is it worth it studying abroad? This is the reason, because fewer than 10% of U.S. college students study abroad, right? So studying abroad puts you in the elite of 10% elite, right? So what does that mean for your future? What do you think it means?
That you look like you stand out to employers, you stand out to colleges that you want to transfer to.
Exactly, right? You're in that elite 10% where you have this global experience, this intercultural competence, right? You have survived in another country in a whole new different system, and you stand out. You absolutely do. When you do the Cal Apply, I know because my older son did Cal Apply, and he was asked to identify which courses he did as a study abroad student. He was asked to identify which courses he did as an honors student. So they're weighting study abroad like they're weighting honors classes. So they're asked, you're standing out again. And then when you go to apply to the workforce, right, and you're trying to get a job, you're competing. You're competing with other people that have your same major, your same degree. This is something on your resume that 9 times out of 10 they're not going to have that you will. So again, excellent. You stand out. That's why we think this is worth it. It's an investment in your education. It's an investment in your future. Statistics actually say that you're twice as likely to get a job with this on your resume, twice as likely, and that you are you're more competent, you're more prepared for the workplace. So 25% higher salaries on average. So it's something that eventually will pay for itself. All right, so let's get into the how-to. Know how much study abroad is going to cost, right? So we want you to start to identify all of the costs that this program is going to entail. And we have this first little chart here that is going to help you. Sometimes you don't know exact costs right away. Sometimes you do know actual costs, so we made 2 columns, right, where you can approximate, you can try and figure out how much or estimate how much things will cost. Other ones you'll be able to fill in the actual cost. So your program fee, for example. How much is your program fee for the program that you want? You have brochures for the upcoming programs. You should be able to identify your program fee and your costs. Tuition is not included, so you'll have to calculate the amount of tuition. Now, if you have the promise grant, which used to be called the bog fee waiver, then that should be very low, right? You just pay the student services fees and things like that. So that should
and that
be.
counts for study abroad too, right?
That counts for study abroad too, because you'll still be an enrolled student, right? So you have to figure that in. So how much did you pay this time last year? Are the credits going to be the same? I mean, you'll have to calculate how much it will be out of pocket for you. Then does your program include any optionals, right? Will there be things for that you want to add on to your program? For example, for the Seville program, there's the Morocco trip. For the Norway one, there's an optional, I think, as well, if I remember right. Isn't there the fjord? What that one was. Right, there was the optional Bergen excursion as well. Do you want to do that one? For Costa Rica, I don't think there's any optionals, but then there are other things that you might have to do, like passport. Do you have a passport or not? You definitely want to start getting your passport with a lot of extra time. The sooner you apply for the passport, the cheaper it is. If you wait and you need an expedited passport, it's going to cost you like double, right? The cost, I think it's like over $200 versus $100 if you get it with a lot of time. Do I need extra insurance? All of our programs include health insurance with coverage up to $100,000 per incident. That's generally enough, but do you have insurance for your stuff? That's important. Your personal effects insurance, your laptop, your phone, prevented against loss or protected against loss and theft. That's really important. How much spending money will I need when I'm abroad? For meals, for extra travel that I want to do. Do I want to? I'm going to Norway. Is Copenhagen in my to go list? Is Paris in my to go list when I'm in Seville? That kind of thing. How much am I going to need for fun? That kind of stuff. Maybe you can talk to someone who's done the program before, or you can ask us and we can give you approximate costs. It's always good to start budgeting. Pre-departure things that I'm going to need. Do I need new luggage? Do I need a new travel backpack? All that kinds of stuff. Okay, so those you can start making your budget, some actual costs that you have or estimates. And then know your finances, right? So financial aid. Financial aid can be used to pay these programs. So you've all filled out the FAFSA by the last March 2 deadline. If that was important, because then you qualify for California aid. You can use your Pell Grant, your Cal Grant. There's additional grants if you qualify that the financial aid office is inclined to give students when they qualify for them. You can go meet with the financial aid office, or definitely look at your current year award to make sure that you understand the aid that you qualify for. When the financial aid office also does financial aid packages for study abroad students, they also often include loans. So there are two kinds of loans. There are subsidized loans and there are unsubsidized or Parent Plus loans. So often your financial aid award will include a loan. It is up to you whether you want to accept the loan or not. The money is not given to you unless you go and accept the loan. You actually physically go into your financial aid account and you tick the box. And I believe you need to do loan training. Is that here too?
It's like an online thing.
It's an online thing, yeah. Yeah, I've done it with my husband. So he's got some graduate school loans. So I know it's a little like finance kind of thing, so that you understand, the responsibility that you're taking on. Subsidized loans are the nice kinds of loans because they don't start to incur interest until you graduate. Student loans generally, until you graduate with your degree, you don't have to start paying them back. Unsubsidized loans for that period of time won't incur interest, which means that they won't start to build up a charge, right? So a nice strategy that students have used before is when they've taken out subsidized loans for study abroad, when they come back, they set up their account and they start to pay the loan back as soon as possible.
And the subsidized loan won't incur interest until they're done with their education. So if you continue on to a 4-year, then
Right.
there's no interest, and if you're going after a graduate degree or a doctorate degree,
Right.
no interest.
Right.
Everything's finished.
Right, so you have plenty of time to start paying it back, not just the next semester or something like that. So that is a nice feature of that. And then unsubsidized loans, you may not qualify for a subsidized loan. They might only offer you unsubsidized loans. Those kinds of loans do start to incur interest as soon as you take it out. So you would have a monthly interest charge added to your loan. Those kind, we highly recommend that you start to pay them back little by little as soon as possible. At least start paying off the interest. That way it doesn't continue to keep building. Okay? Anything else, John, that I'm forgetting or no? Okay, good. All right. So now we're going to go into the scholarship. So you can see on this budget, we encourage you to put in the financial aid that approximately and the actual amounts once you speak to the financial aid office, and then you can do the simple math, right? The charges minus the financial aid, and you can figure out what you owe out of pocket. And then we want you to try and figure out ways to help finance that out of pocket, right? So scholarships is one good way. I think it's time well spent. You can't count on scholarships, right? You have to win a scholarship. So you can't count on it, but the harder you work at it, the better an essay and an application that you configure, the more likely your chances are of winning scholarships. It's not impossible. How many Citrus students did we have win scholarships last? We had quite a few.
They had the AIFS one.
Yeah.
And somebody had the FEA and the Gilman, but that student couldn't go.
Well, that's too bad. Yeah.
But I don't know. And then we had a lot from the other colleges, which like Cassie had 4 Gilman.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not impossible. We have students winning scholarships all the time. So basically, the first step would be treating it like a job, right? Use any breaks or weekends that you have to start applying them. I know we say use holiday and summer, but you're not going to have that much time. So use your free time to start working on your applications and your essays. Apply to as many as you possibly can for sure, especially those smaller scholarships. Start to apply to everything that you possibly can. Okay? It's very hard to say I'm only going to study abroad if I win scholarships. That's not the right kind of outlook that you should have. The better way to do it is to definitely apply to all the scholarships, apply to your study abroad, work on coming up with those funds. And if you win scholarships, fantastic, you're paying yourself back. But you definitely have to work towards earning those funds. Okay? Lots of different scholarships. So here we have a list, and this PowerPoint is available on the Citrus College website, and John will upload this recording. The Gilman Scholarship is the big study abroad scholarship for study abroad. We're going to have, at the end of this presentation, we'll give a lot more information about the Gilman. All of you that are Pell eligible should definitely be putting together a Gilman Scholarship application. The deadline is October 1 this year, so you still have a few weeks to get it together, and it can be done. You have to work hard at it, but it can be done. Other additional scholarships, study abroad scholarships are fantastic. Definitely apply for all the ones that you're eligible for, but consider other kinds of scholarships. There are a lot of different scholarships. A lot of associations, there are major specific scholarships, there might be location specific scholarships for study abroad, some wild card scholarships for left-handed people, heritage, there's Polish American scholarships, Italian American scholarships, there's all kinds of stuff. The Hispanic Fund, I think it's called, they have them for Hispanic Americans. There's a lot of different stuff out there, so definitely apply to everything you can. The following 3 websites are databases for scholarships. So if you click onto those links, you'll find links to scholarships there. So NAFSA is an association of international educators, like John and I are international educators. So it is an association. They have links to many different scholarships. CCIE World is an association for study abroad for community colleges in California. They have their own scholarships. The Asian Institute that one was more for the students going to Japan, but that Donald Colton Student Scholarship is $500, and several students have won that one for our programs. So definitely apply to that one. StudyAbroad.com has links to different scholarships. You might find some scholarships repeated among several of the databases, but keep looking. Go overseas, studyabroadfunding.org. Government-funded scholarships, scholarships for women. So you want to start applying to all the scholarships that you possibly can. Again, this information is on the Citrus College Study Abroad website, so you can find this later. The Gilman, we're going to skip over that. We're going to go back to it in a few minutes. The FEA scholarship. This is an interesting one because it's not need-based. So you don't have to be Pell Grant, you don't have to be financial aid eligible to apply to the FEA. It is one application for over 10 different scholarships. I think they're up to 14 now. Okay. So definitely apply to this. The bummer is that the deadline for applications for winter and spring is next week. All right, September 10th.
Two periods now?
They have winter too.
So they split it into two different.
Yes, they do.
Okay, because
yes.
do one time.
Yes, I know. And we always missed it.
Right.
I know.
Okay, that's good.
All right. So for any of you thinking about Costa Rica or Sevilla, your deadline is next Tuesday.
And they need a letter from.
You need a letter of recommendation. Yeah. So you need to hound a faculty today.
That's Tuesday, is it?
Yes, Tuesday. Which it's a bummer too because it's not really Tuesday, it's Monday. Because it's Tuesday at 9 a.m. our time.
Oh, right.
Right? Because remember, most of these are administered back east. So, all right. It's not impossible, but it's going to be like that. This is what your weekend is going to look like, this application. Yes?
Do you guys count as faculty?
No. Unfortunately. I'm sorry.
It has like you guys are here right now.
Exactly.
It's Friday, so.
Unfortunately, no.
Who's familiar with your work.
If you wrote a really heartfelt email to a faculty that you know, maybe one you had last semester, and explained that you need it by Monday morning, I bet they could pull something out of their file. You know, a lot of them have, recommendation letters that they alter for different students. I bet they could pull something out for you if you've just found out about the scholarship. Yeah. It's $1,200 for you. For semester students, it's up to $5,000. Oh, wow. So it's so worth it. Yeah. So I bet you could do it. Yes.
So to be clear, this is due on your time Tuesday, or is it Monday?
It's due at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday morning.
So it's Eastern?
It's 12 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, which is 9 a.m. our time.
Oh, yeah, it's Gilman, that's the central time.
Gilman is central. This is out of Washington, D.C.
And it walks you, when you go to the website, it walks you through and everything?
Yeah, the applications themselves are not super hard.
This one's not complicated.
Yes, and you need to upload your transcript. I think it
For
can.
This one too?
Yeah.
Can it be unofficial?
I think it can. Yeah.
Okay.
Gilman can be unofficial.
And this is the one that you do not have to be Pell Grant.
Do not have to be Pell Grant.
That's the problem that I run into often.
What you have to be for this, and I can look it up, but you have to be a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and you have to be 18 years or older and going on a program minimum 4 weeks.
The Costa Rica one's not 4 weeks long, it's like 3.
No, it's 4 weeks.
Is it 4?
Programs begin, even if they're on campus, the component that...
Oh, because I know we do have like a week before we go to Costa
Yeah,
Rica.
but I think it's 5 then.
Cool.
Oh, but in your...
When we do that after we use the dates you gave us, like.
Yeah, you're gonna
January
have to
is-
use the dates in there, yeah.
Okay. Because I was doing it and I counted like, they said like 28 days and
Yeah.
like 27. I'm like, 1 day short, does it matter?
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
It's 27.
In Costa Rica?
Yeah, for Costa Rica, I was like counting the dates and I'm like 1 short. I know that's a big deal.
Just put 28 days on the application.
Doing it.
Just like,
You're gonna
They
have
ask
class
about it.
the week before here.
well, yeah, but it will ask about the program dates, right?
There's do prioritize community college first gen students minority. So what does that mean, right? When you write an essay, what should you be talking about?
Oh, you're a minority.
You're a minority, you're a first generation, and you're a community college student. All right, if you are not blowing your own horn, nobody's gonna know. All right, so it's really important in your essay that you talk about all of that. We're gonna go through the essay in a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna skip to the next thing just so we can get going. John will look at that.
Yeah.
This is another really interesting one. Unfortunately, it has April deadlines. If you're thinking, and I only kept it up here because if you're thinking about study abroad in the future, summer, things like that, this might be a really interesting one. It's really interesting because the project that you do is, I think if there's photos included, you get like you have to detail your trip with photos, send it to them, that kind of stuff. So this was a really interesting scholarship that I really liked, and
I
you
got
can look it up.
32 days.
You got 32?
Yeah. It's January 7th to February. Or sorry,
Okay.
January 12th to February 7th.
Okay.
Or maybe I just punch it down then.
No worries. Community scholarships. There are a lot of organizations out there that give students scholarships. Definitely apply for them. You can go on the websites and you can look up, or what town are you from? Glendora? Everybody from Glendora? I would. Where are you from? Covina?
Montclair.
Montclair. Look up Rotary Club Montclair, and you'll find the information for the local Rotary Club, and you want to start writing, finding out about what kind of scholarships that they offer, how can you apply for them, tell them about yourself, tell them that you want to go abroad, that you are looking for help. You send one email, you send 2 emails, you might have to call, you have to be persistent.
It is
All
27
right.
days.
It is 27 days?
Are we not counting the weekends?
No, you count all the.
You count all the days. But what about with class time in there, John? I mean,
Well, you depart January 11th.
mhm.
You arrive 12th, so you can include that departure day.
Yeah, include the departure date for sure.
But in the
That's still 27?
it's 27 days.
Even with the departure dates?
I mean, what day I'd find out from faculty what day they're going to start class and use that as your start date.
Yeah.
I mean, the week before, you're going to be here every day for class.
Right.
The program started.
Yeah.
So find out, email Steve or Dr. Hartman or Dr. Miller-Thayer and find out when they're starting class and use that as your start date.
Okay, thank you.
I would. I don't think those scholarships look up your program online. And if they did, you write a letter saying that it starts that day. You know?
Right.
Oh, no, definitely. That's only fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
think it'd be a
technically
big
it's
deal.
true if that's when class starts, like, that's when the semester starts.
You just
so.
Yes.
Right.
It happens in the lecture halls.
Okay, exactly. You have a question?
This may be a dumb question, but what is a Rotary Club?
That's not a dumb question. I have no idea what it is either.
They're local organizations of men and women they're like fraternal organizations that come together. No. Rotary International promotes international learning and
So does every
yeah.
city have one?
A lot of different cities have them. I mean, if Montclair doesn't have one, you find one. I know I was looking up Rotary for, I think, Claremont, and they had them.
Oh,
Or like the city you graduated high school from, maybe to like, because you could be like, oh, you know, I graduated in San Dimas and I'm furthering myself, and it was my time at San Dimas High School that made me who I am today, you know, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because I'm all the way from Ohio, so I don't know, like, if we have any.
I don't think
stuff.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
You'd be
Like,
surprised.
that's a small city, so.
You'd be surprised. But if you literally Google and you'll find the different organizations. A lot of them, I know when I was looking them up in Claremont, because I was on the booster club for my son's his high school soccer team, and we were asking for patronage for the soccer team, and I literally Googled, Kiwanis or something like that, and boom, it came up, and they meet monthly or every couple months at the local DoubleTree Hotel.
Oh.
They meet there. They don't have a building, but they meet there. So there, I started to write to them. I had to harass them essentially, but they did help sponsor. So yeah, like I said, it takes effort. This takes effort. This is something that's not going to fall. Money doesn't fall from trees, guys. I don't know if they told you that when you were little, but
I already started fundraising.
exactly, it's work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is. So all of these are organizations, that have, missions, and sponsorship sometimes falls within what they do, right? Okay.
Did you recycle the same letter of recommendation?
Absolutely.
Okay. I didn't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to scan it?
If you want
And
to contact your faculty and you can make the changes and be like, hey, can you,
yes.
Okay.
like if you just want to switch the date or something, you can be like, hey, is this okay? Or you can just ask them, hey, can you just update this
Okay.
and change these things? That's probably the better approach,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay, so just do it. Go for it. Just watch deadlines, right? Once you miss a deadline, it's over. So watch deadlines, definitely. Allow time to write, edit, revise, and send your scholarship essays. Some scholarships will require signatures from school and admin. So I know with FEA, the one due on Tuesday, and the Gilman that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. After you make your application, then they will also contact you. You have to make sure you list John as your advisor, and I guess Katrina or Julie Martinez in financial aid. They're registered as advisors in Gilman and in FEA too. They will then confirm with the organization that you are studying abroad. So you have to also make sure that you have had contacts with him and that you are in the process of applying for your program.
Is anyone not a citrus student? Okay, which college? Mount Sac, okay. So you have a
Yeah, you guys are
person,
good.
that's fine.
Yeah, Cassie's awesome. She'll walk you through all of this. So yeah. Did she tell you about this meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually got it. I got it emailed to me because I signed the interest form.
Yeah. Cool. She's excellent. Use her. She's a great resource. Okay. Now my next part is about winning a essay. Are you all right with that, or do you want to go to Gilman? We're okay
No,
with that.
Gilman.
Okay. So this actually comes from Cassie, actually, at Mount Sac. She is an amazing writer, and she's really good at coaxing winning essays out of her students. So I sat down with her last winter for a bunch of different sessions where she was directly working with her students, and I literally just wrote down what her method, and we put it all into this 2-page essay guide. And so basically, this is how Cassie assists her students winning essays. First, she encourages them to do research, right? What are you going to do research on? A few things. The scholarship itself. Read the scholarship application. Find out what they're looking for, right? What kind of essay should be written? Secondly, make a list of the program features. Like, why have you chosen the program that you've chosen? What does this program provide? What doesn't it provide, right? Why do you want to attend the program, right? What features are attractive to you? Why has Spain always been on your I have to go there list? Why has Costa Rica been on your, what are the things about the country, about the city, about the place, about the program itself that are interests you or that are helpful to you in your professional or academic career? How will they help you in the future, right? She was working with students going to London. She had one fashion merchandising student, and so London was the perfect fit. So this student went through and just brainstormed and used the internet to help her find out what kinds of things she would be able to see related to her major in London. Okay, so that was really important. She made a list. It doesn't have to be full sentences, but she made a list. Museums she would visit, companies that were based there, fashion shows that she could go to, things like that. Does that make sense? All right, so you got to really investigate your location. Make a list about the city and the region, right? What kinds of places are you going to visit? What things are part of the program? What things are there that are not part of the program that you can visit, as far as historic places, monuments, famous people that live there, things like that. All right. Foods, traditions, culture. Why do you want to go to Sevilla, Costa Rica, Norway? The next thing, have you traveled to other countries? Where did you go? What did you do? What did you see? Make a list of everything that you loved about your trip, okay, if you've traveled before. What's inspired you to study abroad? Be very specific. Is it something personal? Someone that influenced you? This kind of idea or dream that you had when you were little. We have had students be influenced by movies, the Cheetah Girls, cartoons, right? No, but that's very common. I hear the Cheetah Girls all the time. Who are the Cheetah Girls?
No, I
Barcelona.
I already went to Barcelona. So
Yeah.
Like literally, my friend was like, "We're gonna go to the location where they filmed," and we literally did a whole video just dedicated to Cheetah Girls. It was great.
It's Disney, and they're like a singing group where they singers, and they went to Barcelona, and in like a movie.
Yeah.
Right?
It was like
And that
did scenes for a whole song.
Yeah, so that influenced this whole generation of young women, and
Gotta bring Barcelona back.
right? Why? I mean, I hear that all the time. That's why I say that. And my kids are your age, so I remember watching it with them. So, yeah. All right. There was a time when, what's that MTV reality show with the Jersey kids? The Jersey Shore, and they went to Florence. There was a moment that influenced that whole age of kids. So, all right. Anyway, hey, if they're going to get you abroad, then good. That's some kind of added value to that stupid TV, It's all good. All right.
Someone actually wrote that on their
Yes, my friend. Yeah, that's correct. My friend did.
Oh my god.
Literally, my friend did.
There's a way you could spin that.
Yeah.
I bet you can.
I literally totally forgot that was actually filmed there. I literally didn't know that until I got there.
I have, when we took it with it, this is a Mount Sac student that we had a couple years ago,
Oh,
Angelica. And she learned about Picasso when she was a kid in kindergarten. One of her, her kindergarten teacher taught them about Picasso and Picasso's artwork. So she had Barcelona on the brain since she was in kindergarten, right?
Same.
You right? So, however, it's a great story for a scholarship essay. It really is. Okay, we'll talk about her in a second. She raised a lot of money. Sorry. So then you have to, your personal statement essay is basically a scholarship essay, right? So Cassie breaks it down into 3 categories: personal, academic, and professional. So you start by brainstorming, but she brainstorms out of order and you start by brainstorming your academic, and she has several bullet points of things that you should write down. Then you brainstorm your professional, which is where you're going in your future, what you would like to do. And that's where you tie in a lot of elements of the program, right? How will this program help you, affect you in the future? And then lastly, you brainstorm your personal, right? So your age, where you're from, what's your background, right? So that is how you brainstorm. And then when you put the essay together, you go and you begin by your, well, before you actually start to write it, you start to really look through your list, identify a theme, find, you can find a flow, because you're not going to write the essay by literally just putting sentences to every single bullet point. You have to identify a theme, okay? Some of it you'll include, some of it is not maybe relevant. So you want to go through that. And then you'll write your essay by beginning with the personal, then continuing with the academic, and finishing with the professional, okay? You might need a short introduction and a conclusion, reread the essay, fix any grammar spelling errors, take it to your writing center, take it to an English professor, have them look through it, have them make suggestions, okay? Remember that they only have 3 to 5 minutes per essay to read it, so it can't be that long. It's got to be 2 pages.
Sorry.
Max.
So, two pages?
Yeah, max.
Can it be one page?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not frowned upon if it's like,
I don't think so.
I think 1 page is fine.
okay.
Okay.
Space it out and bring those margins in.
Yeah,
Do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a normal page.
Does it need to be in like MLA format or anything, or does it need to be double spaced, or is it not supposed to be?
I think double spaced. I'm not sure about
Depends
MLA
on the
format.
essay. It might have rules. You read the
Okay.
essay.
I would
application.
imagine double space is easier to read.
Yes,
I think double space is fine.
is pretty standard.
But
Yeah.
some of them will say like, oh, you need 1.5 spacing.
Some of them might have a word count too.
Okay.
So double check that too.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So not everything from your brainstorming list is going to go into your essay, obviously, but that's a way to get out, where is there a theme through here? Is there, okay? So it's a lot of brainstorming, a lot of prep, and then the essay has to be edited down. Okay? Does that make sense? That is essentially the essay. Definitely, you have to remember that you're telling your story. You have to get personal, right? You have to get personal. You have to make the reader feel something for you, okay? So you have to, it's hard to brag about oneself or tell, sometimes some of the, being really raw and honest sometimes can be hard. But again, we have to make this person feel something for us. So remember, they're reading hundreds of essays, especially with the Gilman. They're spending 2 days reading, right, John? Did it 2 days? Did you spend?
Yeah, I did it for 2 days. Yeah, but I think there was other. Yeah, there was other groups of people that were coming in. So there's a lot.
Okay,
Of
but they're reading hundreds of essays, and so you have to make yours stand out. So what's your theme? What's your hook? Okay? Cheetah Girls essay, they might remember that. Right? You admitted it. All right. Now, the Gilman we're going to go back to, but that has a follow-on project essay. So the whole mission of Gilman is to spread study abroad, right? Especially to the underrepresented communities. So that's why it's Pell Grant eligible only. So once you come back, you'll have a follow-on project, which will you'll have to help spread the word about study abroad. How will you, demonstrate to your peers or people who could study abroad in the future ways that just things that they ways that they can study abroad, how you did it. You want to share your story with them. So you have to think of a project and detail it in a very short essay, and that would be secondary. It's not as important as your personal statement, but you have to come up with some kind of follow-on project. We have some good information here on thinking about and coming up with a good project. It's not as important again as your personal statement, but you should think about your skills and your community and who you would like to talk to study abroad about. Maybe high schoolers, maybe elementary, maybe your peers on campus, that kind of thing. Okay. All right. All right. So we have some more tips here. Definitely be open and honest. Talk about your family financial need if that's a concern. The fact that this is the only study abroad open to you on your campus, right? When you go to 4-year, there'll be tons and tons of different programs that are available to you. Currently, these are the only study abroad programs offered to you, and that's important. It's good to emphasize that. All right. Definitely mention that you are a community college student because you're supposed to be given special consideration for that. So if you're a minority, mention that you're a minority, talk about your family, that kind of thing, okay? All right. That's it. Do you want to go to Gilman now that we're on scholarship, and then we'll do creative funding afterward, or
No, do creative
funding first? Okay. So we have had a lot of students. Like I said, you can't count on scholarship money. If you are able to win a scholarship, fantastic, wonderful. That's just more money, maybe less debt, more places you can visit while you're abroad. But it's important to also do creative funding things to raise money, and that will help cut down on your out-of-pocket. So we've had a lot of students come to us and tell us their stories and their successes and want to share them with you guys so that you can use them as well. So the top 4 are the 4 ways that students are becoming creative and they are raising funds. So first, definitely look at your habits and cut down on your expenses, right? Are there ways that you can save for study abroad by, not living, and as luxuriously, we could say, as you do now? For example, do you buy coffee every single day on campus, right? Are you at Starbucks a couple times a day? Do you have, could you start making coffee, and bring it with you? Stop buying bottled water. Chick-fil-A, eating out. I know I have a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old. They spend the majority of their money on food.
Yeah, my student workers always eating junk food.
So instead of eating leftovers or instead of making sandwiches, they are out buying burritos, tacos, Chick-fil-A, Cane's chicken. I don't know. There's a long list.
Your mom says, "Hey, we got food at home,"
and they just look at it. I know. I leave dinner out for them every night, and every morning I come in and there's the dinner's still sitting there, and there's fast food garbage in the garbage. So is that something that you can cut down on? Temptation of buying unnecessarily online. I know they also spend a lot of money on Amazon Prime. And can you cut down on your subscription for 1 year? Do you have a Disney annual pass? Can you go without it for 1 year? So what's the other one? There's a lot of different little things. Nintendo, no. Yeah, is it Nintendo? PlayStation, do you have a year subscription? Can you cut down on that? There's all little things that you can maybe go without for a certain amount of time. Save that money, use it to go abroad, and then you can get it when you come back. Right? Do you have a savings account? Keep the change savings accounts. Those, every time you make a purchase with your debit card, they'll round up, and that difference they'll put in a savings account. So you are it's intentionally saving money a lot. That's a really interesting one. Most banks have that. If you don't have a part-time job, definitely get a part-time job, especially jobs that work for tips. Those are great ways to start that tip money. You just take it and you start to save it, put it away. Stop a bad habit, like, you know, smoking, vaping, yucky stuff like that. Stop doing that and put the money toward a travel fund. Then ask, Christmas is coming up. If you have a birthday in between, start asking for gifts of money. You don't want stuff, you want money. You put it away and you'll use it for your study abroad. Another interesting way that we have is to use points or miles, those kinds of credit cards that when you make purchases, you pay off your balance and you get points. You might get cash back or you might get points towards miles, right? Which could help you buy your round trip airfare when you're there. That we have some advice from one of the Citrus faculty gave us this advice. Gerhard Wright gave us this, and we trust him. So there's some great ones like the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Capital One Venture. Those are ones that they have recommended for students. Talk to your bank. Look and see what you qualify for. You might have to use parental credit and then start to build on your own. You should all be building your credit too. Hopefully you're doing that. It's good to start now. Someday you're going to need it. All right. The next thing is rolling up your sleeves and getting creative. Fundraising, right? And those, we have students doing great things like, mowing lawns and raking leaves for Southern California isn't very practical, but that's for students in other regions. Bake sales, yard sales, babysitting, car washes. We have students being really creative, using their skills. We had a student who painted, right? The one who... Clara, who was a great artist and sold her stuff on Etsy.
She made little cards, and sold those. So her brother took a photo of her card or the painting and made a card out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are you a crafter? Are you creative? Can you get creative? Do you know someone who's creative and willing to help out? We had a student who did a sip and paint. Which have you heard of those? The sip and paint places. You invite everyone you know, and then you split the profit. That's an interesting one.
And Suzanne Gould's kid, who's an instructor now in London, her son and her son's friend just had like a spaghetti.
I love that one.
Dinner thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So they set up tables in their yard, and they invited people to a spaghetti dinner and charged $20, and spaghetti's pretty cheap, sauce is pretty cheap, garlic bread is pretty cheap, and they, kept the extra.
I know somebody who literally kind of did a trade-off in a way, saying oh, if you help me pay for my trip, I'll literally buy things for you so I can send it to you.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, anybody that supports you, you want to make sure that you remember, you write down. And you want to always thank them by sending them a postcard or something like that, right?
I did a car wash.
It's important to do
a
that.
couple weekends ago, and I raised $300, and the supplies for the car wash were $40 or $60. Oh, and if you guys are gonna do something like that, I know the Lowe's, because I bought the hose from the Lowe's in West Covina. Arrow Highway in Azusa, where the AMC is, and we went in there late, and the assistant manager showed us where the squeegees were, and he was like, "Oh, you guys doing a car wash?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to raise money for study abroad." And he was like, "Oh, well, we really like to help out, so when you check out, have them call me up there so I can see what we can do." And because I was getting the stuff for a fundraiser, our total was $65. And he went in there and did a whole bunch of things, and we paid $30.
Nice.
For the supplies. And I didn't expect that at all. But yeah, you can, if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, let them know, hey, I'm getting this for a fundraiser. Do you guys do any discounts for stuff like that? Because you never know. And then a lot of restaurants too do fundraisers. I'm still waiting to hear back from the Blaze Pizza right here, but where like on a certain day between a certain time, like everybody who goes, like you get like 10% of their sales for that night. So yeah, you could try that too. It depends on the place, but sometimes you have to they have to bring a flyer. So it'll be like Chipotle. We're doing this for my honor society. Chipotle on some day in September that I can't remember, from like 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I don't remember if we have to do flyers. Sometimes they make you do flyers. So everyone that goes to Chipotle between that time and brings a flyer, then you get a proceed of whatever they buy. Some places you don't have to do a flyer, it's just all the business that comes in between that time frame. So obviously you want to tell all your friends, go to this Chipotle at this time and you get 10% of the sales from that 4-hour period.
Where do you get these flyers?
You make them, or sometimes they give them to you.
We did it for, we had a short-lived study abroad club.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Oh, there's no more club?
no, because people weren't doing the club things. It's kind of strict to have a club here, right?
Oh,
So, but we did that with Chipotle, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you sign up online.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of group. Maybe because we were a legitimate group, we were able to do it. I don't know. It wouldn't work for individuals. It would have to be a group.
Oh, okay.
And then my student worker at the time just stayed at the door and kind of made it. She told
Like handed a flyer to
use
every
flyers.
person that wants
So
it. Yeah, that's what you do.
We'll do
And
that.
they were like, I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but
Yeah,
we
a
did
lot
raise,
of-
we raised like I think $700 in one.
Nice.
one
Nice.
By doing.
Yeah, the car wash I did, we just did it for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And it raised like $300. And mine was just donation based, so like we
Yeah.
didn't even have a charge. Some people give you $5. I had a guy that gave me 20. I had a guy that gave me 30. Like you tell them what you're raising
You have to
for.
tell your
And some
story.
people are like, I went to Citrus too. Take all my money. You know what I mean? So just talk to people.
You have to tell your story. That's really important. The using your social network, right? You have to use your social network. Use your Instagram. Use your Facebook. Use your Snapchat to tell your story and ask for support, right? You have to. So definitely do that. There's also GoFundMe, Venmos, that kind of thing. GoFundMe charges a percentage. Some of them do. So just be careful with that. Just calculate that in.
Sorry.
No, we love that.
GoFundMe, okay, because I wasn't going to do GoFundMe because they take a percentage, so I was doing PayPal and Venmo, those are my links. The thing with GoFundMe, though, is the familiarity that people have with it.
Yeah.
So I did end up making
Yeah.
GoFundMe because people see that
Yeah.
and it's familiar to them.
Yeah.
Instead of just, here's my Cash App,
Yeah.
thing, you know?
Yeah.
So there is that upside to GoFundMe.
All right, and then less people write letters, but this goes back to, asking local organizations, do you belong to a church? Will your church community support you? Well, you can promise, we were talking about promises, you'll, go to Sunday school and share your experience with kids. What kind of things will you do in exchange? Angelica was a Mount Sac student. She did a bake sale. So she created a menu card of baked goods that she could bake. Her sister helped her a lot with the baking. And then on the back, she put photos of Barcelona, a photo of herself, and told her story very briefly, but about her dream of learning about Barcelona and Picasso when she was little and how she wanted to go. And she went around to all the admin offices, faculty offices at Mount Sac. Everywhere she went, she would ask for start and sell her stuff. She wouldn't carry the brownies with her. She would carry the menu. They would order it. Then she would bake it that night and next day bring the brownies. Right. I know that the trio office at Mount Sac complained that they got really fat that year from all her banana bread. Christina Chafee student went around to all of her neighbors and asked for donations of stuff and organized a 2-day garage sale. Families and friends, neighbors, people donated old clothes, shoes, books, toys, furniture, and she sold it. She also made drinks at the yard sale, right? Because it was hot. And so, $1 a drink, $2 a drink, that was smart too. She also sold candy bars at work to save as much as she could with part-time hours, didn't go out as much, cut back on fast food, did side jobs like babysitting, cleaned people's houses. Good for her. All right. And then Haley just asked for plain up donations at $2. And so she made this little card and asked everybody to give, everybody she met, she asked for $2. All right, so these are all ideas that we have, and John is going to give you a little more information about Gilman.
Yes.
Do you want me to upload the slides for that?
I got it. It's fine.
Okay.
Sure. Go ahead. So I'll just talk. I'll have a short Gilman thing here, and if you have to go and you don't need the Gilman, that's fine. But let's get started with that. Okay, so who's eligible for the Gilman? U.S. citizen, undergrad, good academic standing. You, of course, need the Pell Grant, and you have to be applying to a study abroad program, but it's not necessary. Like if you're going to Norway and that's so far in the future, you can just say that you're going to the Norway program. They don't ask for any official information until way later. So it's fine to apply without putting down a deposit or anything. Okay, I'm going to talk about the winter and the spring programs. It applies for the other programs further in the future, and if you need help with those, we can talk. You can also get a lot of the information out of the brochure and the information we have available. So you have to write 2 essays. We talked about these briefly. I'll go into more depth about those. You need to upload official or unofficial transcripts. It's a bit tricky to upload them on the application page, but you have your transcripts that you get from Citrus or Mousesack, and then you print it or export it. No, you print it to a PDF file, and then you can upload the PDF. Okay, but make sure the PDF is legible and everything's in there before you do that. And I also believe if you don't have transcripts with grades yet, I believe you can just upload something that shows you're enrolled. Now you can get unofficial transcripts now that just shows you're enrolled even though you don't have any grades posted. I think that's fine as well. If you attended another college, you'll have to upload those transcripts as well. Okay, here's the dates. So the deadline is Tuesday, October 1st. After you do that, you might want to check in with your advisor just to remind your advisor or your financial aid person that you've applied. Gilman will send me or your advisor, Cassie, an email saying you've applied, but just double check with the financial aid person and your advisor. At the end of November, you'll get an email. Sometimes it's late, actually, but yeah, they shoot for the end of November. You'll get an email saying you've been accepted. Sometimes they say you're on a wait list where people don't accept the Gilman, then there's more money available, and then you might get that money later. Sometimes you're declined, unfortunately. And the award, yeah, so they want you to fill out some information. After you do that, it's sent approximately 3 to 4 weeks after your award documentation is complete. For Costa Rica, you would not receive the funds until like right before the program begins. Okay. So you can just Google Gilman Scholarship application. I'll switch screens so we won't be able to see this on the recording. But yeah, if you just Google Gilman Scholarship. So yeah, explore the page. There's a bunch of information there. Find the Apply Now tab. There you go. Register. Not so easy. So that's it. And the application, I'll explain some more things about the application. It's a little tricky, but it's not so strict. Just do your best. You'll probably run into some things that are confusing, but just do your best to answer all the questions on there. Oops. So if you have a phone, you might want to photograph this, and it's kind of common sense, but there's some things in here that might be tricky when you're doing your application. So you can just fill in the name there. Again, it's not so strict. Our group is the Southern California Foothills Consortium, and that's for a semester program. We're in a consortium with Mount SAC and other colleges. However, if it's Costa Rica or Norway, that's only Citrus College. So for the sponsor, that would be Citrus College. Of course, the semester length is it's a semester length program for the semester and a 4-week program for Costa Rica. And I believe Gilman is 3 weeks for
2 weeks.
it's
Actually.
2 weeks, so you don't have to worry about the 27 days for that one. Yeah, and it's San Jose, Costa Rica, or you put Seville, Spain, and you have to list the institution. And I believe, it's not going to show click Sevilla, and you have to maybe go down, click other, and then write in click. Okay. And so the last day to apply for Sevilla is November 27th, and for these are the deadlines. Sevilla, November 27th, Costa Rica, October 4. For Sevilla, yes, you're taking a foreign language, and Costa Rica, no. These are just an estimate, and this is a little more than you're actually going to spend. But we want to show them that you're spending more so that you're awarded more money, right? So the program fee is the program fee that's in your brochure and everything. Round trip airfare, that's how much the airfare is. And so you're not going to spend this much. I mean, it's possible, but because so many meals are included, you're not going to spend that. But, could happen. So let's put that in
Well,
there.
I mean, you are spending that,
Right.
but it's included. Does that make sense? You're paying for it through the program. So
Yeah.
we're just breaking it down for them.
And then in-state tuition, maybe you'll have the tuition waiver, but just put it there just in case something happens and you don't receive that. Who knows? Textbooks, $300. We don't know how much the textbooks are going to cost. Maybe nothing, but again, just put it there just in case. It might increase your award amount. Yes.
So for Sevilla, do you know if the meals are included, then if there's dietary restrictions, that includes that as well, or
Well,
does it have to be on your?
this is just
Okay.
information you're putting in online. So as far as
Okay.
this is,
They're
No,
asking
just-
for a cost breakdown so they can
Okay.
estimate your award.
yeah,
So we're maxing out.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so this isn't really going to reflect.
Yeah.
It is,
We're recording all this. We're going to edit this video.
well, no, I mean, because we don't know. We don't know. We're just
Yeah.
saying it could cost
Yes.
up to this much.
That's right.
And we're going to give you the higher estimate and not the lower estimate to increase your award, which is fine. So anyway, you have 2 different sections for Sevilla, so you have to decide if you're doing the student apartment or the host family. The host family is an extra $1,000. That's the option. However, we did include an extra amount on the meals because the host family, you spend less on meals because they have breakfast and dinner Monday through Friday, whereas the apartment, you don't. So if you are doing the Sevilla program, I would take a photo of that page because this is what they ask you to input on the Gilman application. Okay. The essay, all the things we mentioned earlier about essays apply to this program as well. Compose it first on a word processor, and then you copy it into the web page on their application page. There's a 7,000 character limit, including space, and that's 1.5 pages with a single spaced word processor. Yeah, make sure you review this. Bring it to me. I can review it. The Writing Center, somebody you know who's a good writer, a faculty member, have somebody look at this. Don't just write it and turn it in. Bad idea. So there's 6 questions that you have to address when you apply. You'll have the list. And it's best to put this in an essay form, I believe. I mean, you could answer them, but it doesn't read well that way. You want to have an essay that's a coherent story. Yeah, be as specific as possible to your personal situation and reasons for selecting the study abroad program, which is also in Cassie's tips. Use those tips that we gave you earlier. Describe how the program enhances your academic goals, professional goals. Avoid statements everyone can write, like, I have always wanted to travel. That's so passé, right? Everyone says, like, oh, I just want to travel. No, you need to be more specific. Why do you want to travel? For example, oh, I've lived my whole life in Covina. Never had a chance to live in a city and put myself in a new culture. So it's more of a descriptive answer. And Gilman's looking for non-traditional study abroad students. So think about what makes you unique. What about your background, right? First generation student. Something, we'll talk more about that in a second. Also think about obstacles you've overcome. Again, that's echoing what we told you earlier with Cassie Rubio's advice. So yeah, people will also often list hardships they've gone through in their life. And it's hard to read. Make sure you bring that back up. Don't just bring us down and leave us there. Bring us down. How did you overcome it, right? It needs to be a story that's uplifting. And be sure to include that you attend a community college. So I wouldn't call Citrus College. I would call it Citrus Community College, okay? Because you'll get extra points for the community thing. This is from when I went to the Gilman to read the essays. They gave us this selection criteria. So you can see what the primary factors are there. So diversity is very important. So that could be your first generation student status, your ethnicity, if you had any learning disabilities, and the struggles you faced because of those, or physical disabilities. Yeah. So again, thinking about what makes you unique as a student. Country and regional destination. So technically, it's more common to receive the Gilman for non-traditional locations. Costa Rica is non-traditional, but most European places are pretty traditional. But I was surprised because Cassie Rubio in Mount Sac, she had, was it 3 or 4 students?
3.
Three
3
students.
out of 3.
3 out of 3 got it for England, London, England, which is the most common destination, the most traditional, right? So don't let that stop you from applying.
Have her look at your essay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Have you made an appointment for her yet?
yeah, we've been talking about it.
Good. Then you're in your way.
And a good thing to point out, regardless of your ethnicity, is your institutional diversity and distribution. So Mount Sac, Citrus College, we're all HSI, Hispanic Serving Institutions, or there's another acronym. I don't like. What's that?
That's Hispanic.
Oh yeah, yeah. HSI, and then there's like a minority serving institution. I think is one as well. Might have to Google that one. Secondary factors, essay, which I don't believe because the readers, if it's not a well-written essay, forget about it. Academic performance, program length, field of study, previous experience abroad. Okay, other things to include. This is a big one because, like I said, they support non-traditional locations, but because you're a community college student, you don't have these options that you have 4-year university. So you need to stress like, this is the only time I can do it. This is the only program available to me. That's why I'm choosing it. So even though, yeah, it's Spain, which is kind of common for study abroad, this is my only option. This is the only time. So you can't participate without the scholarship. You have strong financial need. Financial aid's not enough. Now's the only time. It's hard to do this when you transfer, because when you transfer, you'll have perhaps a 1-year residency requirement, or you'll have your declared major minor that have degree requirements. You have to take certain classes. So it is kind of the time to do it right now.
Like, what happens if, like, for the, like, so-called degree requirements, because, like, this is pretty much the main reason why I actually want to go to the city of Spain, because, like, literally, like, Mount does not even offer, like, that class at all.
Oh.
Which I need for UCLA.
Ooh, this is a good thing to put in your essay.
So should I actually, like, full on
Yeah.
mention, like, oh,
That
I
is a
specifically need this
perfect-
class?
Absolutely.
Because, like, literally, pretty much that class is the last class I need to complete my degree.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Which
is
class
a
is
really
it?
good thing to
The
put in.
Latin American art. So,
Yes.
okay.
So, and then talk about why it's special to take it in Sevilla.
And then can I also, like, well, like, see, this is the thing, like, I've already been to Barcelona, but
Mhm.
I never got to go to Sevilla because, like, my mom went without me.
Mhm.
But I really wanted to go because, like, that was the one trip that I really, really wanted to
Yeah.
go. So, like, should I mention
Absolutely.
that too? Okay.
Yeah.
Cass is going to help you with that. Trust me. She's really good at this.
So the follow-on project, we kind of discussed this already. It's a secondary. It's not the primary essay, right? So I think most readers are going to focus on that other part. But you do need a well thought out and developed follow-on project. What you'll do when you get back. Yeah, think it out. Decide who the target audience will be. Don't make it too complicated. And be creative. Okay, so for the next steps, I would refer to Cassie Rubio's essay composition worksheet that you have. And it's pretty much the same rules as this. Okay, do you have any questions?
Just remember to get it done by September 30th. Okay? So always, the deadline is the day before the actual deadline.
Yeah. Yeah, and be careful. The deadline
Right, it
is,
exactly.
it says my student worker did this. She applied for the Gilman and finished it and then turned it in at like 11, and they wouldn't allow her to turn it in because it's Central Time. So it has to be 9:59.
Because none of these scholarships are Pacific time. They're all East Coast and Central time, so always the day before. Okay?
All right, well, thank you very much for coming.